Hello and welcome back to The Brew Interviews, the only podcast with hosts who put coal in their own stocking. Not because we're bad, but because we like the way it feels. I am Robbie, and joining me as always via the internet is my best friend Lauren. It is main episode 100, and tonight it is all about us. And maybe all about you too. This week on The Brew Interviews.
The Brew Interviews, coast to coast, brews, faves, and more with Lauren and Robbie.
This episode of The Brew Interviews is sponsored by AdamandEve.com, but you will hear more about them later on in the show. For now, Lauren, how you been?
Well, Robbie, it's the week after Christmas, so I'm doing pretty good. We're kind of in
Merry
that
Christmas.
We're in that in between area of Christmas and New Year's, so the New Year's is coming up. By the time everyone hears this, it'll be next year.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing well. I had a really nice Christmas. I hung out with Danny and Grandma and FaceTimed the rest of the family and
Grandma.
I got to play Monopoly all fucking weekend, and it was the best thing
That sounds
ever.
so miserable.
I lost every single game. We've probably played about 6 rounds of Monopoly. I fucking
Fuck that.
love Monopoly. So I was
Did you ever play
pumped.
Risk?
No, I've never played Risk.
You would like Risk. If you like Monopoly, you like those long, stretched out games. Instead of money, you deal in like human lives. So it's a
Okay,
little
well
bit
that would just make me feel bad. I like Monopoly and Skip-Bo. That's usually our go-to games. I also really enjoy Stratego. Have you ever played Stratego?
Is that the Star Wars game?
No. You have like little blue and red pieces, and you it's knights and spies and like kings, and you can only move like certain pieces like a certain amount of spaces.
Welcome to the 100th episode where we
All
talk
right.
about Stratego.
Well, how have you been, Robbie? How was your Christmas? What did you do?
It was good. Just hung out. It's a small family thing and played with dogs.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Made homemade ravioli, which was great.
Ugh,
So-
yum.
My first time doing that, so that was kind of a nice experience. It's also a very involved, dirty experience.
Yes, your hands get real messy.
I let Steph, my girlfriend, do most of the dough touching. I just did the helper stuff.
Yep.
So that was pretty much it. And now we have a dog nail crisis where one of the dogs has a broken toenail.
Oh no.
It's little Stella, and she's been all mopey all the past couple of days, and she won't let us near it, so we can't really just kind of rip off that. It's like dangling like a loose tooth from a 3-year-old. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah. You gotta wait till she's sleeping.
and then she bites us.
No, one of you like lays and cuddles with her, and the other one goes in for the kill.
Rip.
Yeah, that's what Danny and I do to cut Samwise's toenails.
Are they bad too?
Oh, Sam, he's traumatized. He literally, well, he'll give you a bloody nose to get away from you, like to cut. You'd even touch his paw, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm out."
He's got a big ass head too.
Yeah, he's got a big head, a cute
Yeah,
little
fuck that.
pit bull head.
We're gonna get him some doggy CBD. Maybe that'll help him a little bit.
Honestly, the only way to cut his toenails is if he's like out at the vet. Like they have to put him under to cut his toenails.
That'd be very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, Minor on the other hand, he's great. Although he did break a nail, but he's fine now.
Fancy dogs.
Fancy
dogs with
dogs.
their broken nails. Hey Lauren, what are you drinking for today's 100th episode?
Well, Robbie, I cannot remember if I've had this on our show before, but I am drinking Luxurious Tiles from Trillium and who else makes this?
Bissell Brothers.
Oh yeah, Bissell Brothers. Literally, the logo is right in front of us. Trillium and Bissell Brother collab. It's a IPA with like local rye and wildflower honey, and it's a 8.5% ABV. I know that I've had this on our episode of Wreck My Podcast that we were on with Jordan. I can't remember if I've had it on ours, but it is just so good, and I figured it was the perfect beer to have for our 100th episode. It's sweet. It's got that nice honey flavor. This one is the one that you gave me recently, and I think that I like it a little bit better because it has a little bit less of a rye taste than like the first round that I got. Like this one is much more citrusy to me. So this is like super citrusy, and it's got that like nice sweet honey aftertaste. It's just so good. It's thick, it's juicy, it's delicious.
That was a kind of a big beer when it came out. It was hard to get because Bissell Brothers and Trillium are both huge over here on the East Coast. So this collaboration was like everybody was like, yes, finally. So
Yeah,
this is a
Steph
pretty
and I
cool beer
had to get her friend Jen in Boston to go get it on her lunch break as soon as they released it, so that we would be able to have it. So I got the very first round of it. I have the glass that came out with it, and it's
yeah,
just
my glass.
yeah, it's awesome. It's such a good beer. I'm glad that they made another round of it. So
Yeah. I believe I have had that on the show.
okay,
I think I have.
I couldn't. I thought we had it, but you know what? It's just such a good beer. I figured I'd have it for our 100th episode.
I don't blame you.
What are you drinking for our 100th episode, Robbie?
I am not drinking a fancy beer. I'm drinking a kind of fancy beer.
Ooh.
I am drinking Hoochie Mama.
Yes, Hoochie Mama.
It is a guava kettled sour
I want it.
from Storm Peak Brewing Company in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
I want that.
It is a sour coming in at 5.6%. And this was a gift from my girlfriend's friend Emily for their Secret Santa thing that they did through the mail. And Steph got beer, and we got this beer from Colorado because Emily was in Colorado for something.
Emily, what
So-
the actual fuck? I thought that I was your favorite one of Steph's friends. Why didn't I get this beer?
I guess I'm the new favorite. It's not bad. It's very, very tart. Very tart.
I want it. That sounds so
Yeah.
good.
It is good.
Ugh, I'm gonna see if they have it on like Tavor or something.
It's light. It almost has like a watermelon-y taste to it instead of guava, which I like anyway.
Yeah.
It's good. It's super light. It's a little watery, but that's fine. So moving on, Lauren, we have a brew news.
We do? Well, what is it, Robbie?
Because this brew news for our 100th episode was kind of reminiscent of a brew news we had a long, long time ago when we first started. And that is Hershey Candy Company. You know Hershey.
Of course.
The kisses in the bar. They are demanding payment from a small brewery over beers made with Milk Duds and Jolly Ranchers.
Wow.
So this is another trademark lawsuit that's happening in the craft beer world.
All right. Throw the facts at me, Robbie.
The brewery in question is called Side Lot Brewing in Wakanda, Illinois.
All right.
And not Black Panther Wakanda. This is spelled differently.
I'm sure
Side
that
Lot.
somebody gets that joke, but I don't.
I thought you watched Black Panther.
No.
Really? I thought you liked him though. The actor.
I've never...
I'm drawing a blank on his name. He passed away. Wakanda Forever. Side Lot is a very small brewery that's been running for only about 5 years. They made special beers for Halloween and advertised them on their website using the Hershey name, including the products, Milk Duds and Jolly Ranchers as well.
Mhm.
Hershey sent out a cease and desist notice, and the beers were taken right out. Like, it's no problem, But the company, Hershey, now expects Side Lot, it just sounds weird when I say it, Side Lot, to pay the Giant Candy Company back for its use of the candies and the name, which is it's only about $8,500. But if you look at pictures of Side Lot Brewing, it is a fucking hole in the wall. It is teeny.
I wish that our audience could see my fucking face right now. That is the absolute most ridiculous bullshit I have ever heard. Hershey,
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, I understand the cease and desist. They shouldn't have. They should have like mixed it up enough, like not used the name, not used like Hershey in their description and shit. Like that was a lack of due diligence on their on Side Lot's side. But
Yes.
for Hershey to demand money from this small local brewery is this dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Fuck them.
It's a little crazy to be asking money, but CBS legal analyst who kind of wrote the whole article, Irv Miller, says trademark law does not discriminate. If you use a name that's protected, you have to suffer the consequences. Now, which I understand. I do. I agree. Trademark usage when it's done illegally can really fuck some people, but they're not fucking Hershey at all.
Right.
If
If
anything,
anything, they're just
kind of
promoting
advertising.
Hershey.
Yeah,
They
and
bought the Hershey product to make this beer.
Yes.
So they've already given Hershey money. And now they're just promoting Hershey with their beer.
And I see what Hershey's trying to do in setting a precedent for trademark usage. You know what I mean? If they let one person through, how many other people can they let through? It just kind of sets an example for the courts. But still, the $8,500, really, you couldn't have just been like, you owe us $100. Call it even.
So if I was, if putting myself in like Hershey's shoes,
Yeah.
if this was my company, if I was in charge of this, I would use this as like a base for my company to be like, okay, if the money that they made was like $100,000 or more, I would demand payment for that. But anything less than $100,000 is just pocket change for a company like that. And that's it's just terrible to like take money away from a small business, especially in this time of life, like with a pandemic. Like, these small businesses are already struggling. Like, why would you demand profit from them when you probably made 1,000 times that much on Halloween alone? Like, go fuck
Probably
yourself, Hershey.
Yeah, I would normally be on Hershey's side of the argument for trademark infringement and things like that, but Hershey also used child labor in other countries to obtain their product for so long. So really, fuck Hershey.
No, seriously, fuck Hershey.
Your moral obligations for trademark law. Fuck you. Why don't you use your moral obligations to stop all the fucking child labor, you pieces of shit?
Yeah, or like give back to help the small businesses instead of trying to take all their fucking money for advertising for you. Like,
did you know all of their chocolate is not fair trade?
Yes,
still?
I do know that.
It's like, I think their plan is like 2022. They have to have all their stuff fair trade, but until then it's still all like
Hershey is like the biggest
little Colombian hands picking chocolate beans. Like, fuck you.
No, but seriously, fuck Hershey.
Yeah.
I completely agree with the cease and desist though. Like,
I agree too.
I'm all on board with that. But like, fuck you for demanding money from a small business. That's garbage. You should be setting a precedence for other big businesses to not take money away from like small businesses. Like, just send a cease and desist. That's all you need to do.
They're criminals. And it's kind of funny, there's like a video section of the article, obviously online, from I think CBS. And instead of saying cease and desist, which is the actual term,
right,
they keep saying cease and assist.
So they're just dumb.
And I'm like, no, they're just dumb. So it was kind of funny. Anyway, the last couple of years have been pretty big for breweries getting sued for trademark infringement. I mean, you have the one we talked about a long time ago with Knee Deep Brewing.
Oh, yeah.
Their Breaking Bud was ripping off Breaking Bad. You have Stone suing Miller Coors for trademark infringement. Oscar Blues, they got sued by Guns N' Roses.
They did?
Yeah, because they released a beer called Guns N' Rosé.
So
but it had no affiliation with Guns N' Roses, and they were selling merch and stuff like that. They settled out of court, but still copyright infringement. And Heineken got blasted for something, but I just don't remember what it is.
That's like what's the brewery? Litherman's Limited.
Litherman's, yeah.
Yeah, like all of their beers like have to do with like some sort of musical like group of some sort.
Really?
Yeah, like Depeche Mode is
Depeche Mode.
That's what I said. Is Depeche Mode or something like that, and it's like a peach sour. Or
what's
like,
the plum one?
Oh, I don't know, Robbie. I don't have.
That's the one that
in
tastes like
front
buttered
of me.
popcorn.
It tastes like what?
Stephanie and I drank the plum beer, Under My Plum. Is it Under My Plum?
I don't know.
Isn't that Litherman's? I posted a picture of it, and you're like, "That's one of my favorites." But we both said it. We're like, "This tastes like buttered popcorn, like the jelly beans."
Interesting. I've
It
had
was
that
so
beer,
weird.
but it was not buttered popcorn. Maybe you just got a weird can.
That's why I want to buy another one of them, because they have it at the Packy right now.
Definitely
just to
do
see.
it.
Because it was so weird. We both looked at each other. We're like, buttered popcorn.
That's so funny.
I
love all. I think pretty much every single one of their beers that I've had, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, Litherman's is pretty solid.
They're
Let's
in
hope they never
Concord,
get
right?
sued.
They're a Concord beer.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I want to go
Concord, New
there
Hampshire.
as soon as this pandemic's over. Going.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
A sponsor of this episode is AdamandEve.com. Are you like my lesbian podcast partner Lauren and stuck in a boring, sexless relationship?
Wait, what?
Luckily, there's a website for you.
I'm boring?
Adam and Eve is an online store where you get all the bedroom essentials to help spice up your relationship.
Can we get back to this sexless thing?
With an assortment of adult toys, lingerie, and sexy accessories, Adam and Eve has got you covered in the bedroom, or in the kitchen, or in the public library bathroom, basically anywhere you can have sex.
The library?
And even if you're not in a relationship, Adam and Eve has got your lonely ass covered as well. With an assortment of lubes, toys, and other pleasurable items, AdamandEve.com will make you feel like you're not jerking off alone in your apartment ever again. So remember, if you're gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, pan-fried, or even deep-fried, Adam and Eve has got you covered in the bedroom. So head over to adamandeve.com and use our promo code BREW4U and get 50% off almost any item in store. That's promo code BREW4U, the number 4, at checkout and get 50% off almost any item. And when you do, you also get 10 free gifts courtesy of adamandeve.com, including 6 spicy movies and a 3-piece bonus kit. It's like a 3-piece chicken bucket, but, better. Now get out there and do some consensual the kind where you stick your in their then you get the Thousand Island dressing, you rub it all over your and you just jam it in there. You know what I'm saying?
Salad dressing?
adamandeve.com for all your needs. Cheers. Moving on to the main topic for tonight. Since this is our 100th main episode, we wanted to take a quick minute first to thank everyone who's ever listened and supported us through the past couple of years. It's been 2 years, a little over 2 years. Or will it be 2 years? I forget.
I think
when
we started in 2018,
like mid 2018 or some shit.
We started recording, I think early April of 2018. We didn't start releasing episodes until July,
like June or July.
July, yeah. And now here we are.
Yeah, so we definitely want to say thank you to everyone who's ever listened and supported us.
Thank you for being a friend.
Yeah.
It means a lot. It really does mean a lot when somebody says, "Oh, hey, I listened to the episode today." I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
I agree. Even when it's like our friend Steve, who gives me a lot of shit for not knowing things.
Yeah, and we don't like Steve. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's such a dick.
Actually, can you believe he killed an entire litter of puppies? It was insane.
He's such a...
With a hammer. Why would you do it with a hammer?
Well,
but we would also like to use this episode to maybe help out others who might be thinking of starting a podcast themselves, because I damn well know there's advice that I wish I had gotten imparted to me before we ever started this whole podcasting thing. And now that we are in a position, maybe we can help out some beginners, because we were once in that position.
Yes, I agree. And you did most of the research when we started doing this. You were just like, get this, get that, get this. And I was like, okay.
Yep, just a little bit anal about those things.
Which is fine.
So what we're going to do is kind of just give people advice, maybe things that we wanted to know. The first thing that I wish somebody had told me when I first started, I kind of assumed it in my brain, but I didn't say it out loud. And that was, be prepared to not profit off of a podcast for a while.
I mean, we still don't profit off of this podcast at all.
Not with the yearly fees of hosting, which we'll get into later, but that's the one big expense. That and your initial mic setup and things like that. But initially, overall, don't expect to make a lot of money unless you're a famous person already.
Yeah, like if you're listening to podcasts like And That's Why We Drink, or literally any sort of paranormal podcast right now, like they're raking in the dough on Patreon. And it's
sad.
It's just heartbreaking for a small podcast like us. Like the only people that donate to our Patreon are our very close friends and my mom. Like,
because we forced her.
And she actually just had to cancel her card on our Patreon because somebody tried to hack her fucking account. So
oh great. Oh good. So when you sign her back up again, just do the next tier up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna she won't know. I'm just gonna sign her up for $100 a month, and I'll just do it until she catches it. And I'll be like, oh sorry, I thought I put $10 a month. Sorry, Mom.
We'll pay off our hosting fees in 2 months. That'd be awesome.
I know, right? That's another thing is hosting fees.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to run a podcast.
No. There are some free sites that host a podcast, but they're basically useless sometimes.
Yeah. I think we, just as I want to be open and honest with our listeners, I think we used to pay about $300 for hosting fees.
Yeah.
And that's because we were hosting on Podbean and we were hosting on SoundCloud. But SoundCloud is worthless. So we decided to drop SoundCloud. So now it's only about $120 bucks a year for us to host our podcast so that you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever the fuck else it distributes it to. YouTube. There's no video, but you can hear it there. Yeah,
Podbean is super useful, and I highly recommend it because it doesn't just contain our podcast. It pushes it out to whatever website you need it to go to. So like Lauren said, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon. We're on Amazon Podcasts and music, so it streams directly to Amazon, which is super nice.
You can also get linked to Pandora from there, Google Play, and we're also available on Audible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that until I realized that you could listen to podcasts on Audible. So I think it's because we're like put on Amazon that we're now available on Audible.
That makes
Verified because
sense.
I started following us on there.
So did I. My next piece of advice would be get organized. Really, like, at least in the beginning, get organized. What you do later on down the road with episodes is kind of, you just figure it out as it goes. But figure out what you want to be, because there is so much out there. I mean, I think your father sent us an article about how many podcasts were currently, this was before the pandemic, how many podcasts were currently out there. And it is just a flooded market. It's insanity.
Find what you want to talk about and format it. Like, don't just get on a mic and start talking, because anyone can do that.
And most of them aren't successful unless you're a comedian or a famous person.
Exactly. But even like if you're a comedian or a famous person, like, you have somebody formatting it for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they aren't just sitting at home doing this.
Yeah, they ain't editing shit. Find a niche. Find a niche that you like to talk about, and there will be an audience for it. Be original. It's probably another one. That's something that's far and few between right now, is originality. Everybody's doing the same goddamn thing. And it's crazy how people are still listening. It really is. But
yeah,
be original.
Just and be yourself. Like, you don't have to. I mean, Robbie and I play up our personalities a little bit on this show, but I play up my personality a little bit on this show.
She really does hate Jews. It's crazy.
I what?
What?
No, I don't.
Anyway.
Stop fucking saying that, Robbie.
Another piece of advice. Probably don't start a paranormal or true crime podcast, because they're everywhere.
Or do it because they're fucking everywhere and everyone loves them.
But for how many there are kind of successful, there's like 3 really successful, and then the rest are just lost in the flood. So I recommend finding something a little bit different, something your own.
Yeah, and who knows how long that like niche or fad, like, not saying that it's a niche or a fad, it's going to last. You know what I mean? Like, they're super hot right now, but like in 5 years, are they still going to be as popular as they are now? Yeah. Or how many, like, there's 1,000 like paranormal stories out there, but everyone talks about the exact same ones. And I'm not saying like don't do that if that's what you like, because I listen to paranormal podcasts. Like, our friends from the Golden Ghouls, like, they're a paranormal podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, we enjoy it, but like, bring your own flair to it. Like, be original.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It doesn't happen that often. Next piece of advice would probably be buy decent equipment. One of the biggest pet peeves of listening to a podcast is shitty fucking audio. And even the podcasts that do make money, they still don't upgrade shit. And they sound like garbage.
And honestly, like, Robbie and I take our audio quality like really seriously. We've totally thrown out episodes that we don't think sound good quality wise.
We have fucked stuff up before.
Yeah, we fucked shit up. Mostly I have fucked shit up, but that's get a good computer. If you're gonna start a podcast, get a good fucking computer.
Get a good computer, get a decent microphone. We both have Blue Yetis. They're what, about $100 to $120, I believe.
Yeah, I think the cheapest one's $99.99.
Yeah, don't get the little, what is it called? The Blue Yeti, the little ball one. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Yeah, my dad asked me about that. I was like, I don't know. I got the good one.
They are horrible. We have the next step up, which is, definitely more professional quality.
It's worth it. So, it's absolutely worth it. Yes, it is.
You will love yourself in the long run. Noise reduction in the background, a lot of times, it helps with that. And just better sounding quality overall. And learn how to use it. Learn how to use the microphone. Learn how to adjust everything. Learn how to adjust your sliders in whatever audio recording equipment you use. GarageBand, Audacity, I believe, is the one you use.
Yes.
And that's another one. Learn your editing software.
Learn it.
That's important. Unless you're paying somebody to edit for you.
Which, if you're starting a podcast, you're not going to be able to do until you start getting Patreon donors.
Unless you're rich.
Yeah, so unless you like start out with a good fund of podcast money, you're not going to be able to afford to pay somebody to edit unless you got a like good friend that's just going to do it for free.
I would love to have a bunch of podcast money. That'd be amazing.
I know, wouldn't that be? Donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/thebrewinterviews.
Or go to adamandeve.com and buy some amazing shit.
Yeah, get some butt plugs.
Get some butt plugs. I got Lauren like 10 butt plugs for Christmas.
You did? When am I getting them?
I didn't get you butt plugs for
damn it.
Christmas. Next piece of advice, do practice runs. If it's your first couple of episodes, practice that first episode. If it doesn't sound right, scrap it. We should have scrapped our first episode and redone it. I personally think that, but we didn't have the foresight to realize that.
I was just going to say, Robbie and I just hit the ground running. We fucking started recording episodes and just went with it, which honestly was a good learning experience. But if you go to our first episode and listen to the quality of it and listen to our episodes now, it's like night and day. Like, I'm pretty sure that my mic wasn't even turned on. Like, I don't know what was going on with those.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So just practice. That's all it takes. Get those nerves out. Lauren still gets nervous.
I get nervous every time we have a guest. I sweat. Sometimes, like, even before we started recording today, I got sweaty palms. I get nervous every time we record.
Yep.
So you can hear it on our interview episodes. I'm just a ball of anxious.
A ball of anxious. I also recommend doing, before you release your first episode, record at least 3 to 4 episodes and have them all edited and finished. That way you don't have to worry about the next episode coming out right after. Like, figure out a plan. Are you going to do week by week? Are you going to do bi-weekly? I think we started out bi-weekly almost. Yeah. I think we were, that was our plan, but that didn't work out.
And for our podcast, like, that's what we had started to do, but because we were doing things that were relevant when we were recording them, we decided to kind of speed up that process. Like, now we record a couple of days before we release an episode, so it's more current. But when we were releasing episodes in July and talking about fucking Cinco de Mayo, it's like, all right, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, we need to speed up this process, and that's what works for us,
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to holidays, and I think holidays started to show where we were at in between our recording and our editing.
Yeah.
And we're like, if we want to do a Christmas episode, we're going to have to do it in early November, the way we're going.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, let's figure this out.
But then also, like, Christmas beers don't start coming out until after that. Yeah. So and just figure out, like, what you're doing, what works for you.
Like I said, what I say, be organized.
Exactly.
Try to be organized.
And by the time that we decided to just be releasing episodes more currently, we had gotten our editing process down. We were organized. Like, we had a better format to our episodes. We had shortened the length. Like, when we had started recording, we were doing like 1.5, 2 hour episodes. And that
crazy. Nobody
can sit through that, especially listening to me. So, like, we decided, okay, like, editing took like 5 fucking hours. Like, Jesus Christ.
It was pretty miserable, those 2 hour long episodes. Next thing I gotta say is use social media. Use the fuck out of it. Use the fuck out of it. I know for us it's a little bit different. We are a beer centric podcast, but we talk about everything. But when it comes to our social media posts, it's beer centric 100%. Mm-hmm. And that market is huge on Instagram.
I agree. And I think I wish when we had started podcasting, somebody had told me how time consuming podcasting was. Yeah. Because we sit here and we record for maybe an hour and a half. We chit chat. Editing now is down to like whatever, an hour to, if that, hour to something 20. Like, unless it was that a couple episodes have taken me a few hours to edit. Not naming any names. But it's outside of just the actual podcast recording and producing. It is just you have to constantly be on social media. You have to constantly be taking pictures. Like, networking is so important. And I honestly don't even think that we do it as much as we should be doing it. Mm-hmm. Which is probably why our podcast isn't as popular as it should be, because we're fucking hilarious. But it's honestly like a second full-time job if you really want to promote and get your podcast out there and network with other podcasts, because getting your name on somebody else's podcast, you get all of their listeners hearing your name.
Regardless of size.
regardless of
They
size.
could be smaller than you, and you could help them out possibly. But who knows? Maybe their podcast kind of blows up one day, and you guest star again on their show later on because hey, you were there for them back when you were smaller. I mean, that's one reason why I love when Dave, my friend Dave, the author, comes on.
Oh, I love
Award-winning author
D.L. Jennings.
He's come on a couple of times, and he loves coming on the show. And he helped us way back in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I will forever be grateful for that.
And not only is he like a fucking famous author who owns a fucking Tesla now and has award-winning books.
His fucking Tesla.
His fucking Tesla. But he is the coolest guy. Podcasting, like, and that, and like, our friends at Wreck My Podcast, like, we never would have even known about them if Jordan hadn't like reached out to us one day on Instagram and been like, hey, check out this episode. I think you'd really like it. And it was like the 90s trivia episode. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. And now we have a really great friendship with all of these people at Wreck My Podcast. So it's not even just networking. It's like building these like personal relationships.
It's like a small yet big family.
Yeah.
Because the podcasting pool obviously is ginormous, but you still do meet these people who you keep talking to constantly. I mean, I bother Jordan all the time with Star Wars shit, so I mean, we're always talking. We've never met in person, but we're always talking.
One day we'll meet you in person, Jordan.
One day. Instagram is huge. Stick with Instagram. I think it's personally the best way, social media wise. And Twitter, do what you want on Twitter. I fucking hate Twitter. I think it's so biased. Like, the only way you can get things out and be popular on Twitter is if you're already famous and popular.
Or if you get like retweeted by somebody. I honestly still have no idea how Twitter works. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I'll log in and post something on there because I'm like, I can do a description that will fit in this whole little window.
Yeah, the stupid requirements. Oh, don't even get me started. Yeah, it's a catch-22 on Twitter. You want to be bigger and popular, but you can't be bigger and popular on Twitter unless you're already big and popular. So it's like, wait a second.
I should have gotten on Twitter when it was first a thing, and then maybe nobody would follow me. What am I talking about?
Nobody would have followed you on Twitter. We talked about it before, but Patreon is also a very helpful tool, even if it's just your friends and your family donating $1 a month. I mean, that could be $5 to $10 to $15 a month. That could be cutting off the cost of something else. It could be cutting off the cost of your hosting. It could pay for your microphone. It could be paying for new microphones. It could be paying for a camera, hard drives. Oh shit, I didn't even think about hard drives.
Oh yeah. I have like a 200 or a 2 terabyte like hard drive to
I have 2 external hard drives.
That, and like even a couple dollars a month, like we advertise our posts on Instagram, which gets a few extra listeners every time we do it. So like, even just donating a couple dollars, like you're providing us a way to like promote our podcast. Like, even if it's like $5 for like 6 days, it gets a couple more eyes on our profile, on our page, like maybe one listen. And sometimes all you need is like one listen to get like a couple extra listeners, because if somebody hears it and they're like, hey, I think you'd like this podcast, like word spreads and word of mouth. Like if you listen to our podcast, which I know you are because you're hearing my voice right now, like tell a friend about it. I listen to podcasts because like the new podcasts that I listen to are mostly word of mouth podcasts.
Yeah.
I'll get a suggestion from like my friend ST. Like she'll be like, hey, I think you'll like this podcast. So I'll listen to that podcast. And usually she's right. I'd fucking listen to the entire thing. So like, if you like us and you think somebody else will like us, let them know about us. And maybe they'll tell somebody about us. It's one big pyramid scheme. If you tell 3 friends and get them to tell 3 friends.
Don't say that.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, just go fucking tell people to listen to us.
Is that the name of this episode? Episode 100, The Gang Makes a Pyramid Scheme.
Yes, that's our episode.
The one with the pyramid scheme.
The gang starts a pyramid scheme.
Also, speaking of that, episode titles. I see episode titles for podcasts, and they're just, they're the same boring, regurgitated crap over and over again. Episode 29, we talk about levitation and magic, and I'm like, that's stupid.
Do you listen to podcasts that talk about
No, I
levitation
don't. I'm just saying that people aren't creative anymore. We name our podcast episodes. First, it was Friends.
Yes.
We used their naming convention, and then I switched to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And then now it just goes back and forth all the time, which I like because I haven't seen anybody do that personally.
Yeah. Also, we couldn't find any more TV shows that used a naming scheme.
That's also true, but I don't want to talk about that. one of the biggest piece of advice is for people is stick with it. It's gonna suck. You're gonna go have ups and downs. You're not gonna have listeners some episodes. You're gonna have a lot of listeners some episodes. You're gonna have no money. You're gonna have, well, we don't know what it's like to have a lot of money for the podcast, but stick with it. Most podcasts fail after what? It's like a month or two because they just give up.
Yeah, because there's this ideation. That's not a word. You know what I mean? There's like you see these podcasts that are really popular and doing well, and you're like, hey, I can do a podcast. Like I'm just like that, but it's not like that.
It's not easy.
We've been doing this for 2 years, and like the most downloads we've gotten in a month is 1,000. Like,
yeah, and you have to love it. You have to like doing it.
And that brings up my next point is like we keep doing this because you and I have been friends for like fucking 15 years. Yeah. Like this started out really for me was because you were gone. You were off in the fucking Air Force, like deployed in across the country. And it gave us a chance every week to talk about things that we would normally be talking about at home together. It gave us a way to like keep in communication. Like it's nice to like sit and have a conversation and a beer with my best friend every week.
It was a scheduled play date for adults.
It's literally a scheduled adult play date for us and all we do is just record it. Like that's what we do. Yeah. And it's not always easy for us. Like we get in arguments. Like we have to schedule things around each other's schedules. Like it's not like it's happy and joyful all the time, but I love it. Like I love getting to do this with you.
It's crazy to think of a time where I didn't have to plan out like a night to record. I'm like, oh, I got to record this, whatever, Thursday, Friday. And I'm like, man, remember when that wasn't an issue?
Yeah, ever evolving, but it's always a good time.
Yes. I don't know if I got anything left. Is there any other advice you would impart to our listeners?
I don't think so. I think it's always a constant growth. You know what I mean? Like we're still learning. Process. We are still learning things, and we've been doing this for 2 years. I would never discourage anyone from starting a podcast, but I would urge you to really think about what you want to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, is that your thought? I thought it was.
That's my thought. Yeah. That's my words of wisdom for the evening.
Yeah. Do it if you love it. That's about it. Invest the money, save the money.
Make sure you love it before you invest the money in it.
Well, I use my Amazon rewards points to buy a microphone, so.
Oh, I just put myself into even deeper credit card debt.
Paying off that mattress and that microphone, huh, Lord?
Mattress and microphone are both paid off.
Oh, thank
Casper Mattress. Sponsor us.
That'd be pretty nice. Oh, there we go. That's one last piece of advice I would say to people is don't wait for potential sponsors or potential... I guess I'm just going to use the word sponsors overall, but don't wait for them to reach out to you, especially when you're small and in the beginning, because nobody's going to. Do you know how many companies and people I have reached out to, I have emailed? It's a lot.
Robbie does all of this legwork. I just see the emails come in and I'm like, why is Adam and Eve fucking emailing us right now?
It just put in the legwork, plan out your emails. I don't just write my emails into Gmail and send it. I type them out and I look it over for a few days. Then I go, okay, is this covered? Is this covered? Be humble. Don't ask for anything. Just kind of put out the idea out there.
Robbie literally writes the most business-like emails ever in the entire world.
That's
no
the
emotion,
Air Force for you.
Just straight business.
That's from the Air Force. That's from talking to other Air Force professionals.
For sure.
Yep. I mean, I reached out to adamandeve.com, which is great because they help us out. Tavor has helped us out with gift cards and stuff like that for us to give away and to advertise on our
and it's not always
show.
Getting money for things. Like
no.
Tavor we didn't get any money from Tavor. Like we just got gift cards.
We got affiliation.
We got to raffle off gift cards to our listeners, which is great.
Yeah, it's awesome. The Packy is going to be a sponsor hopefully pretty soon.
Hopefully one day. We love you. Good push.
Who else did we have? I can't even remember
That's
who else we had.
Nobody else. Those are the only two.
Yeah. Be creative. Also be creative. I like to write crazy intros and ads and all this other stuff. I made fake ads because nobody would sponsor us. So I created fake ads. If nobody's going to sponsor us, I might as well sponsor myself. So
fake ads. Robbie does fun intros. He writes all of our intros except maybe like the two that I've done. And they're not good.
Yeah. Be creative, be original. Don't be a sheep. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, and also if you're starting a podcast and you want to like get a fun constant intro, like like we have our intro music and like my dad is like the guy like saying all the words and like
Yeah.
do that. Get like a little break in between there. Like don't extend music too long. Like think about when you're editing as a listener. You're like, all right, I don't want to waste a minute listening to music between things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fiverr.com.
That's where I was going with that thought. Go
Yeah.
on Fiverr.
Fiverr, Fiverr.com. They have a whole slew of, things to help you. But Fiverr.com, they'll help you write intros, outros. They can really do anything. They can write your ad breaks if you really want to pay them to do that. It's a very useful website. It really is.
And we've advertised our podcast on like an advertising agency on there before.
Yeah. And obviously everything costs a little bit of money, but sometimes it just helps, throw $30 at it and you could get 1,000 new listeners. Maybe they're not going to stick permanently, but hey, you have 1,000 new eyes or ears, I guess, to hear your product. So
yeah.
You never know.
You never know that one person that's going to hear it that's going to like help make things better for you.
Yeah,
or help promote you a
maybe
little bit.
Adele. Maybe Adele hears an episode of our podcast where we talk about music, and I talk about Adele, and she goes, "I love the Brew interviews. I'm going to tell everybody." And then all of a sudden we blow up and we're bigger than Joe Rogan, and then we sign to Spotify. Actually, I like that idea. Spotify. I'm going to create that website, Spotify.
Okay, what's it going to be?
It's a porn website where you listen to music and fuck.
Yes.
Spotify.
Yes.
Spotify.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I was saying, word of mouth, it spreads. Lauren, what's your favorite episode been throughout this entire endeavor?
Oh, well, we've done over 100 episodes, Robbie. That's a really hard question.
I know.
I think one of my favorite episodes remains our food fight episode.
Where we legitimately got pissed off.
We
at each
literally got into an argument about food. But I think it's because it just encompasses like, we can argue to the death about things like that, but we still have such a good time having these debates. Like ketchup is fantastic, and I don't care what you think. But I just really loved. It was probably like our 5th episode or something like that. It was one of our very first ones.
Yeah.
And compared to now, it's just hard to listen to, but like it was so fun to record. Like it's just one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And I think like any episode that we do with a guest, I really enjoy. Like I love our episodes with DL Jennings. Like I want him to just come back on. He doesn't even have to write another book. Like I just want him to come back on and talk to us because he's so fun.
I actually wrote that down too. All the episodes with Dave DL Jennings are just always fun. He's just a fun guy to be around. And then I would say our Christmas movie reviews, because I think every year we've done it has been. Like, they've been good movies. They've been something we've enjoyed, which doesn't happen very often during our movie reviews.
Every movie review is, like, fucking terrible, except our Christmas movies. They always turn out good.
This year we watched Klaus, and then the year before that we watched...
Did we do...
Krampus.
I was going to say, did we do Krampus or the trailer movie?
No, we watched Krampus, which is an amazing movie.
Love Krampus.
And then the year before, we watched the like white trash trailer park like Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Which was actually it was good. It was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, Robbie picked it thinking it was going to be like a fucking terrible movie, and it was actually really good.
I watched it again
Anna
this
Faris
year.
in it? Is that who was in it?
No, not Anna Faris. It's the shit. I forgot her name. She's from Orange Is the New Black.
Oh.
She's the meth head girl with the meth.
Oh, I love her. I don't remember who she is.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either. Anyway, check those out.
In this next coming year, what would you like to see from our podcast? Like, is there some sort of goal that you'd like to like set for us, or like where do you want our growth to happen in like the next year?
Within the next year, I would love for like 600 downloads an episode, consistent basis.
Wow, that's a large goal. We got 3 downloads today, Robbie.
It's been, well, we didn't release anything last week because of the holidays, so it was kind of, we need to do just like we need to sell out. That's what we got to do. We got to sell out and just start doing true crime.
No,
that's it.
I refuse.
So Brew interviews true crime.
Are we going to start interviewing crime people?
I want to
Be
interview
like a real
murderers.
brew interview. We'll get them drunk and ask them if they committed the crime.
I want to find felons on the street and interview them.
Okay, you can do that, and I will stay safely in my apartment and not do that.
Can I give them your address?
All right, I think that's a great goal. I like that.
To interview felons? Yeah, I think it's a
No,
good goal,
to
too.
get more downloads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that your goal too?
No, I would like to get 25 more reviews for our podcast this year.
That'd be wonderful. Please review our podcast. People suck. I don't get it.
Okay, well, don't tell them they suck because then they won't review
suck.
us, Robbie. If you're listening to it, like, I know based on Podbean statistics that most of you are listening on Apple Podcast.
Yep.
So just scroll down to the bottom and tell us what you like about us, or tell us what you don't like about us. We're open to criticism. Or write a letter. If you don't like something, write a letter and set it on fire. And I'm sure that we'll get it one day.
Yeah. Because we're
But if the more you review us, the more, like, if you scroll down to the bottom, you say, if you like this podcast, you'll like these podcasts. Like, it will get us into those, like, suggestions for other podcasts. It'll get the word out there a little bit more. Write a review or just hit the 5 stars at least. Or
Yeah,
4
that would be
stars.
very nice.
Nothing less than 2.5, please.
So before we go, we're going to rate our beers real quick because
Oh,
that's something
shit.
we do on this podcast. If you didn't
That
know.
is something we do on this podcast.
I drank Hoochie Mama Guava Kettle Sour from Storm Peak Brewing in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's good. It's not the best kettle sour I've ever had, but it's decent. It's a good summer beer for sure. Even though it's December and cold as fuck right now. 2.75. I'd give it a 2.75, which I think is higher than what I gave it the first time I drank it, not on the podcast.
On our Untapped?
Yeah, we have a 6-pack of it, so we've been drinking it.
I'm sorry, do you have any more?
We had a 6-pack of it.
So you drank all of it and you didn't give me any.
We had a 6-pack of it. What
I
about you,
see
Lauren?
I see how it is, Robbie. I drank Luxurious Tiles, which was a collab with Bissell Brothers and Trillium Brewing. It's a IPA, a double IPA with local rye, raw wildflower honey, 8.5 ABV. And it's delicious, and I would give it 4. A solid 4.
It is an excellent beer. I don't know what I've given it in the past, but it's definitely that upper echelon of 4 and plus. So
Yeah, it's Trillium and Bissell Brothers always know what they're doing, except for the black metal. I know, Robbie, I understand. Everything other than that, they just know what they're doing, and to have 2 amazing breweries come together and make a beer is just always awesome. I look
Very
forward to it
wonderful.
every time.
it's like Michelle Obama and Martha Stewart had a baby, and it was a beer.
Okay, that was a very good description.
Was it?
Yeah.
Martha Stewart's kind of a criminal.
Yeah, but she hangs out with Snoop Dogg now, so, like, she's cool.
Yeah, I guess that makes up
They
for
cook shit together.
it. That just about wraps it up for this episode 100 to be specific.
Whoop,
You can
whoop.
find The Brew Interviews on our Instagram account at The Brew Interviews or on Twitter at Brew Interviews. You can also send us an email at thebrewinterviews@gmail.com or on Facebook under The Brew Interviews. If you have questions about starting a podcast, please email us. And if you feel so inclined, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Brew Interviews and become part of the Brew Interviews family, just like these few people: Hillary, Mitch, Steph, Karen, Danny, Jess, and the Rec Mod podcast crew. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Also, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Like we said earlier, it really helps us out. And I would like to thank our sponsors, AdamandEve.com, and be sure to use our promo code BREW4U, that's brew the number 4U, and get 50% off almost any one item. And when you do, you also get 10 free special gifts. So
Porn.
get you and your loved one something special and help out the show at the same exact time. For the Brew Interviews, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Lauren.
Good night.
Good night.
This has been The Brew Interviews, a podcast about craft beers coast to coast with Lauren and Robbie.
I might be gay, but I'm not that gay. Hoochie Mama.